Hey guys, the Portrait here. So this is an exclusive video on a simple color theory principle that I have learned from books, experience, and other teaching materials I've come across over the years. A lot of great painters use this principle, even fashion designers, interior decorators, whether they fully realize it or not. Now, color theory is a big subject. It deals with scientific principles of color, the primary color, secondary color, tertiary, how they mix and what color is what on the color wheel, how if they're directly opposite it's called this, and if it's right next to it it's called that, and how they sometimes different colors relates to different emotions. I'm not going to spend much time on all that complexity in this video. This is not a full tutorial on that, nor on painting portraits with color, although it certainly doesn't hurt. This video is mainly about how you can quickly use some simple rules, or just one simple rule really, to understand and know which color harmonizes with each other and which doesn't and tends to clash, and why. So you don't even really have to memorize anything. You don't have to memorize like this specific color goes with that specific color. You don't have to do that. So before you watch this video, it might also help you that you watch my video on how to control contrast and viewers' attention. The link of that video is in the description. Alright, now like all things art, it is not a hard rule. There are exceptions and depends on the way you use the colors. Things can look great even when the principle is not followed. But the principle applies in most cases and can provide a general idea of how some colors goes together well and others just clash. First, even though I said this is not focused on drawing portrait with color, I can quickly point out really to improve on that aspect, you just have to learn to see color. Really see all the colors. And not this vague blend of impression of color our brain quickly makes and we just accept, or to be overly influenced by context, so we don't actually see what is really there. For example, this viral image. Now, strictly speaking, regarding the colors in this image, some people see it accurately as the dress as blue with goldish brownish color, and some see it as white. And those who see it as white, the scientific explanation is that there's nothing wrong with the way they see, but their brain simply taking too much context and lighting, and they feel like it's white. They are letting context, which is kind of an optical illusion, to affect what is objectively in front of them, so they don't see the correct color. When someone first showed me this image, I not only pointed out the color as light blue and yellowish brown, I pointed out each little part as what kind of color, shade, and tested it in Photoshop and confirmed I was right. A lot of people would be able to do the same with this picture. And this is another good optical illusion. This one uses context to mess with your perception of not color but value. I'm now at the point where I can focus and see both blocks as the exact same shade. It requires some practice to see things accurately and not be messed with by the context, like you separate that part out. But it is doable and something you kind of need to be able to do pretty well as an realism artist. Once you can see the colors as they truly are, you can take an image where you think there's not much variation in color, but then you can see in actuality how much variation there actually is. And this is actually one of the more flat images that I found. But of course, once you do learn to see colors, sometimes people tend to fall into the other side of the problem of seeing too much color and try to paint all the different colors and nuances they see. And it is a fine line of how much you do this, because painting all the little things you see and all the nuances you see is time consuming. It might not be necessary in many cases, and if you overdo it with whatever you are drawing, it can easily turn out to look like a rainbow. Since we tend to oversaturate color, we tend to overestimate how vibrant a color is. Okay, so that itself can help a lot of people with their portrait with color. Now I'm just going to cut to the chase and list the principles and briefly explain and give any examples as necessary to understand the idea behind harmonious color combinations. 1. Colors generally do not change temperature under the same ambient light. This is a fairly straightforward idea. Temperature means cool or warm. Green, blue, gray, they are cool colors. Red, orange, pink, warm colors. This you can look up fairly easily, and I think most people know this already. Gray is neutral, but generally is classified as a cool color. Now this is all terminology and how people classify things, and some people call pink cool red and orange warm red, which combined with temperature can create a lot of confusion. And how people classify things is not right or wrong, they're just methods of organization. So for the sake of this tutorial, just think that red, regardless of what type, is always a warm color. Same thing with green and blue. Just think of them as a cool color. If it's around blue, it's cool. If it's around red, it's warm. That's it, okay? Now this whole cool and warm stuff, you don't really need to memorize or understand perfectly, although it is fairly straightforward. The reason I brought it up first is to make clear the idea of what I'm about to talk about has nothing to do with this traditional idea of warm or cool. I'm going to be talking about two categories that works with any color and doesn't really have anything to do with warm or cool. I just don't want people to mix that up, that's all. Although one category does seem warmer and the other seems cooler, but I don't want you to think of them as that way to avoid confusion, really. Okay, so here is the heart of the principle. All colors belong to one of the two categories, and they are the yellowish color or that direction, or the bluish color or that direction. That's it. You can buy every pre-mixed tube of whatever color in the store. They all have their own names. There's the thousands of names of colors. But that tube of color will be in one of those categories. Sure, some are darker, some are brighter, some are more vibrant, some are duller. But still, they go into one of the two categories of yellowish or bluish. So, quick example, take the color green. You can see there are many types of green, but they fall into one of these two categories. Red, same thing. If the color is right in the middle, like fire engine red, it has a neutral stance, almost like black and white. It doesn't clash with anything, and it can potentially go with anything. Same thing with blue and yellow themselves. If at least one of them is purely yellow or blue, they actually often go well with each other, even though they provide the highest contrast to each other. So knowing all of that to complete the idea, and here is the most important part of the whole thing. All yellowish colors, when they go together, tend to harmonize. All bluish color, when they go together, harmonize. When you put a bluish category color and a yellowish category color together, they tend to clash. That's it. That's the main principle. Here is a few examples. Now keep in mind that some artists deliberately go against this principle to create high contrast or whatever effect they want. And most artists follow this principle to create harmonious effects. And here are a few examples of that. You can probably feel that they are easier on the eye. It is fairly self-obvious. As you can see that they generally follow this rule. Now I did mention that this rule is sometimes not followed and the result still looks fine. This is generally due to a few reasons. One, the colors create high contrast and is used well in attention control. Two, the clashing colors are used to create patterns that are pleasing. Or the clash is small, like most areas of the drawing or the room or whatever is heavily leaning towards one side. And then you have the little dashes of the opposing category colors in there. So it's not a huge disharmony that's created. 3. The clashing colors are the result of what we so often see in real life and experience, that we're so used to it, they feel natural and harmonious to us regardless. You know, the best example is probably like the blue sky with green grass. Even if the grass is like yellowish, you know, it's just so natural to us. It just feels harmonious regardless. And last one is that even when clashing with each other, the way they clash is that each of the big elements in the picture is in its own category. But they exist in a very natural way and serves a good purpose and is not super vibrant. Generally, they're very realistic. And when that happens, this kind of goes back to rule number 3 as well, where, we're so used to them. So this we tend to be fine with. Of course, one way you can guarantee harmonization is just by following the principle. And I just want to emphasize again that black and white goes with everything. So I hope I made this principle clear in a fairly easy to understand manner and presented in a time efficient way. So now when you pick a hat or a purse to go with that dress, or if you think whether the pants go with the shoes or the shirt or the tie, a pretty safe bet is to follow this principle. Lean towards one category heavily or another, or entirely. You will dress in a harmonized way, and same thing applies with painting and drawing and decorating. A little bit of things that clashes is not a big deal. Like if you have gold earrings but wears a pink top. But do realize that when you do that, the earring or the top or both does clash, and this brings more attention to them. It might be the effect that you want, but it might also cause some feeling of disharmony if depends on the degree and vibrancy of it, If it's not too vibrant, the effect won't stand out that much, whether it is harmonious or not. But it is not a coincidence if you Google designer dress, you'll see that they are mostly composed of one or two colors. And if it is two colors, one of them is most likely white or black. Then there is no chance of clash. The higher end you go, the more intricate the dress might be, the patterns, the materials, but the number of colors remains simple and elegant. I mean, you can Google right now and see most of what I mentioned applies. Same thing with interior decoration, especially modern homes. They are mostly neutral color with a dash of maybe warmth here and there for contrast. But let's have fun and just look at this for real, and so you don't think I'm cherry picking. I'm searching for the term dress coordination on Google, and I'm scrolling down a bit and took a screenshot. Let's comment on that picture. Alright, top left looks like a very culture-oriented piece. The green is pretty neutral, and like I mentioned in the video, blue and yellow, gold/orange, as long as they are not too off, is actually one of the few combinations that works, and it's easy on the eyes. A lot of the neutral colors can behave similarly, and black and white, of course. It is when color that is so far from purely primary or secondary color, that's when the principle become more and more important. And of course, we have the designer dress right next to her, to that picture. It's just one color. I don't know. Some of these are obviously not designer dress at all. So the park ranger, you can tell, even his dress is abides by the rule. Basically, it's yellowish, and I don't know what the heaven it is that's beside him, but at least that person dresses. It's color coordinated. It's all like it's pink, it's white, it's leans towards the bluish side. The one next to it, obviously, like I said before, if it's two colors, one of them is mostly like white. In this case, it's white and black, so it goes with both. A lot of the bright dresses, they're all white, so not much to say about that. The middle one is purple or violet with pink, so that's all bluish. I'm trying to find one that's contrary to what I've been talking about, but it's hard to find because you can see almost every one of these pictures abides by the rules. The one in the middle, where the woman is wearing like a really dark purple, but you can see the color on her shoulders and everything, and the neckline is white, so that works. Bottom, there's a princess apparently, then her hair is purple and the dress is purple, so different shades of purple, but this guy that's on the bottom, he's all yellow, that's just yellow green hat with a slightly more yellow shirt with a bit of white scarf with a little bit of a gold at the bottom. So that's, and then of course Michelle Obama looks like Michelle Obama, right? And that's clearly just completely blue. You get what I see now. When you start paying attention to things like this, you start to see things how they actually works out. I'm actually scrolling down outside of the screenshot, try to find something. Okay, this picture that I found seems to be from a higher end designer, but it has some clashes with the colors. But still, that's not very much at all. Okay, let's look at the left one. The green in there is light green, but it's neutral green. It's neutral green, but very light toned. So it works with the darker, slightly blue overcoat, which, because it's so dark, its vibrancy is low, so it's close to black. So the clashing there is minimum, if any. The middle one, same thing. The green in the middle one leans leans like very neutral. You could say that it leans slightly towards blue, but it's very neutral. It depends on your monitor's calibration at this point, so that shows how close it is from neutral. And the pants leans slightly towards blue, but again, it's very neutral and black, and it's not vibrant, which is why it works with the white and the gray bag she holds. You could argue that her shoes, which are obviously yellowish, clashes with the bluish, tone of the pants. But because the pants is so dark, right, and none of the colors are vibrant, any clash or disharmony there is pretty much non-existent or, barely noticeable. It works very well. Plus, the shoes actually, it goes up and it harmonizes with her hair and her skin tone in a much stronger and obvious way. So there is a little bit of clash there, but the biggest part is that the pants and her coat matches, and her hair and her shoes matches with each other. So this helped a lot, even though it didn't 100% abide by the rule. And if you look at the right side, that's 100% by the rule. The green is a bluish green with a blue jean, so that just works. The jewelry she's wearing matches with natural human skin tone and her blonde hair. But strictly focusing her clothing, they're harmonious. You may not like it because you don't like the color green or something like that. You have a personal problem with the color green, but the colors don't have a conflict with each other. Okay, thank you guys, and I hope this video is helpful. It's probably like 2 books and a semester of art school regarding color compressed into 10 minutes. You won't know all the technical terms and a lot of the technical principles, but you will be able to now create the end result that's harmonious, which is all that matters really. When you go out, your more fashion-oriented friends probably wondering why you're so good with colors all of a sudden, or how you can just pick the perfect drape for that wall, Say the wall is eggshell and that's, a yellowish color. So now you can pick whatever color you want, but just make sure it leans towards the yellowish side, and then it will harmonize with the wall. Thank you for your support as always. Feel free to leave a comment or message me if you have questions or thoughts. Until next time, cheers! Oh, and since this video is for your eyes only, I don't mind if you share it with your immediate family or whatever, but please try not to post it or make it available elsewhere publicly. Not just because of copyright, but it is made just for you because of your generous support. So thank you, and I'll talk to you guys later. Cheers!